Gauteng is hoping to secure over 300 billion rand in investment pledges from more than 50 companies at its inaugural investment conference today. The provincial government is targeting a 3% economic growth as it seeks to create more jobs. Newzroom Africa's Nqobile Madlala joins us from the conference. Nqobile, good afternoon to you. So a target of 300 billion rands from the companies that are there. What is the Gauteng province proposing as a return on that investment?
We're hearing all sort of stakeholders that are coming in to ensure that this investment becomes one that Gauteng can actually succeed in. In fact, we just recently heard from the Deputy President who said that the national government has committed in investing about 940 billion rand in infrastructure in Gauteng, and they do believe that that 3% increase can actually happen if they invest in Gauteng. They say that of course, Gauteng has always been one of the top drivers of the economical activities within the country. So we've seen all stakeholders coming forth and just explaining how this is going to happen. But in the wake of all this is happening, we understand that also there are geopolitics that are taking place. And as you would know, what has happened in America with regards to the tariffs, which will also affect South Africa. And I want to bring in now the MEC of Agriculture to speak to us about this, because one, of course, would expect that what happens outside of South Africa wouldn't really affect what's happening inside. But as agriculture, how are you affected?
Well, look, I mean, South Africa is a net exporter of agricultural products, and we export products to a number of different geographies. The US obviously is a key trading partner, the EU as well as China. But I mean, the story that also doesn't get told is the relevance and the role of Africa and the SADC region also as a strategic export region for us. So we are obviously going to be affected to an extent. I mean, I think if you look at the value of citrus exports, it's one of our core exports. We are leaders globally in citrus exports. And so it will obviously have an impact on us. However, South Africa has good, strong trade relations with a number of different regions. We've seen regions like the EU really stepping up and saying they want to deepen relations with South Africa. We have seen regions like the East China. We've got representatives actually from China in the room today who are saying they want to pledge, they want to deepen their investments in South Africa. And I think South Africa needs to be open for business with whoever wants to work with us.
And when we talk about Gauteng, what is it that agriculture specifically in this investment that we're talking about and the pledges that have come forward will benefit in?
So as you would have heard today, agro-processing is a key driver of the Gauteng economy, but also of the South African economy, one might argue. It's also a key anchor for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, and South Africa obviously has a critical role to play in that. A significant portion of the continent's agro-processing takes place right here in Gauteng, and we benefit from our well-established road and rail networks, infrastructure in general, as well as facilities, factories, and industrial areas. So we're quite well advanced as far as that goes, and I think that we're well poised to actually capitalize on that. In terms of from a value perspective, this particular conference has attracted circa 22.7 billion rand in investments, new investments into agriculture and agro-processing infrastructure and also into specific projects. And we're talking about projects that range across the board, from refurbishments on fresh produce facilities to also other more advanced processing and agro-processing, where we're looking at oil extraction and other types of different industries. So it's a big opportunity area for us. It's our second biggest contributor to manufacturing after the automotive industry, and a real growth sector for us.
And MEC, as just a passing question, in terms of employment, how does this translate into employment? Because at the end of the day, we see the highest unemployment rate in this country.
So our focus is on driving sustainable job creation, which can only be possible through industrialization and driving areas and sectors of the economy that are labor intensive. And again, agriculture and agro-processing presents a fantastic opportunity for this, particularly in our peri-urban and more rural economies within Gauteng. So it's very exciting from that perspective. And if you just look at the last quarter alone, the Gauteng agricultural sector on its own contributed 10,000 new jobs to the Gauteng economy, which is quite significant in an environment, economic environment, which is otherwise relatively depressed and stagnant. And I think there's a lot more opportunity with forums like this, where we can actually consolidate investments, where we can bring all the stakeholders in the room to help unblock some of those red tape blockages, regulatory blockages, etc. I think we can really supercharge employment and supercharge industrial development in the province.
Thank you very much, MEC, for speaking to us. One of the people that joins us also now, Katleho, is a lady that is one of the business people and also sits in the business table with a lot of business people. And this becomes very important because we're talking all money coming into South Africa in terms of the province and Gauteng. As the business people, what's your reaction to what's taking place?
This is very exciting for us as business people, because if you look at the commitments and the pledges that were made, we're talking about 312 billion. But when the Gauteng province was actually planning this investment conference, they only talked about 300 billion. So which means this is a confidence that Gauteng province is ready to host G20. And also we are actually talking about the private sector-led economy. We need private sector to lead investment in the country, and also to say domestic investors attract international investors, so that we'll be able to actually talk about FDIs. If you look at what the report the MEC was doing, Honorable MEC Lewang Maile, 51 billion of the commitments that were made today, they're coming from US companies.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. And of course, we'll speak more about those details in terms of how business will be coming on board. But what we're seeing here, Katleho, is, like she says, a confidence in the province in terms of growing the economy.
Confidence, and like she says, in hosting that G20 summit. That's Nqobile Madlala out in the Gauteng Investment Conference, bringing us the updates of what pledges have been made so far.